Well, hello everybody. This is Reverend Chris Oldham, and with kind of an unscheduled video here that I was prompted to do by things I was guided to this morning and things I was shown. And happy Friday the 13th, which is also Harvest Moon, and that in itself is kind of special enough. But the messages that I have received today and that are tying into with the messages that I have received for the last few weeks really are showing me that today is a marker point. This is a point where the rubber hits the road and everything really starts moving at a greatly accelerated speed. And when I say everything, I mean everything. The ascension process, the uplifting, the raising of vibration, the exposure of truth, the full unraveling of all of the evil and darkness and corruption in our lives. We're not talking just about business and government. We have to include ourselves in this. This is not an either or. We can't just look at somebody or something else and say, oh yeah, I can see where that could happen. But this is massive. All right, we have been seeing, it's not like the unraveling process is new. It's been taking place for quite a while now. 3, 4, 5 years or more. Actually, since 2012 is when it really kind of kicked in and the process began and we started being able to see things that we didn't like. But that has just continued, and now it has hit, it's gotten into its stride. This unraveling applies to everything. Remember in the last video that I did, I talked about the Hurricane Dorian and the impact, the incredible impact that Dorian had in both the physical level, where the destruction was so complete and unbelievable, so traumatic and tragic for so many people. But it was also the energetic impact, and it was the impact at the higher levels. It was how this was being, the Dorian was a reflection of what's going on at the higher levels. So if what's going on at the higher levels was causing that hurricane to persevere as long as it did, to have the huge impact that it did from the Bahamas all the way up the east coast of the US through to Canada, continuing to churn and churn and churn and maintain its hurricane status. If what's going on in the upper realms was strong enough and big enough to cause that down here in the physical plane, you know there's some major stuff going on up there. And that major stuff up there was causing major things to happen down here in a lot of different ways. We've all been kind of shaken up energetically, personally, spiritually, kind of knocked back and forth a little bit. Not anything serious, but just general discomfort and having to keep looking at stuff that we thought we'd already gotten rid of. I'm saying, what? This is coming up again? Where is this coming from? And having to deal with it yet again. And hopefully this time removing it to, in totality, getting rid of it. And one of the things that we needed to be looking for was to start looking for that higher aspect. What the heck is going on up there? And what do I need to do down here to reflect that in the best possible way in my life and in my soul. How do I do that? What has to happen? You know, we have to understand that this is really ultimately all about us. You, me, the person next to you, your family members, your relatives, the people you work with, the people you don't know, the people in government, the people in business, the people in all services, the people everywhere. It's all about us. And somebody I was listening to earlier reminded me of this, and she was really correct. And reminded me of the 100th monkey effect and how important our role as light workers is to be those 100 monkeys, to be sending this stuff up into the collective, to be healing ourselves and sending that healing up to be recorded in the collective, to then become the norm, to become the normal way of doing things, thinking about things, responding to things, to become the normal behaviors and thought patterns, reflective of the Christed consciousness and the Christed light and a clearer, lighter way of being, and the way that we want to see ourselves being in the new earth that we're creating. Because have no doubt, we are creating a new earth. That's why this process, when you look around you, is global. It's not just happening to you or to, you know, the United States or a couple other countries. It's global. It's happening everywhere. The upheaval is everywhere. South Africa, look at the mess that they're in. You know, we've got stuff going on with China, and you know, then there is stuff, you know, things happening, of course, in the European Union that are going on. There's things going on down in South America, Australia, you name it. Things are changing in a big way. And look at Hong Kong. That is the reflection in the physical plane of what is being fed into, forced, and attuned and programmed in the higher planes and being sent down into the collective. That's part of the influence of the 100 monkeys in the collective, is this fight for freedom. And it's not freedom even of, you know, social freedom, governmental freedom. It is freedom for our souls and the right to be who we are and what we are at a soul level, to have the independence to do that in the way that we came here to be and to do. So this is global, and there's no getting around that. So that's where the 100 monkey thing comes in, the 100th monkey. And if you're not familiar with that story, most people are, but there was a researcher. He studied the sociology of, or simian sociology, or of apes. And he did this study, the sociological behaviors and cultures of apes. And he did the study, he started the study on a particular island. And he noticed that on this island, they had, apparently there were sweet potatoes there in this island. And these apes, orangutans, whatever they were, gibbons maybe, they dug up the sweet potatoes and they ate them right out of the dirt. And he noticed one day that he saw one of the monkeys had dropped a sweet potato into the water, into the river. And of course, reached in to grab it and get it out and then ate it. Well, apparently this monkey, and I'll call it monkey because it's the easiest way to deal with it, this monkey apparently liked the fact that the flavor and the less grit and everything of the cleaned sweet potato. So from that point on, every time he dug up a sweet potato, he took it to the water and rinsed it off before eating it. Next thing you know, there's other monkeys that are watching him do this and copying that behavior, and so on and so forth. It spread throughout this colony of monkeys until the whole colony of them was washing their sweet potatoes. So then he goes to visit another island that's no way connected to this population, has had no contact with them whatsoever, and goes to this other island, and this is another population that eats sweet potatoes off a similar situation. And he was there, and when he got there, he noticed that there was kind of a mix in the population where he saw some of them were rinsing sweet potatoes. And as he watched, it was just like the whole population just took over the rinsing sweet potatoes. So where did that come from? Did another one of the monkeys just accidentally drop a sweet potato in the water and that happened? Or was there communication in the collective, in a morphic field, between these populations? And when he went on to look at other populations on other islands, he found the same thing had happened. Now the kicker here is that it wasn't like he never visited these populations before. He had visited all of these populations and observed them beforehand. And they were all just digging up their sweet potatoes and eating them. But on this one island, they started this washing sweet potatoes thing. And he went back to all the other islands. Lo and behold, they were then washing sweet potatoes, and they had never done that before. So this is where the 100th monkey effect came from, the coining of it. There is a certain percentage of a population. When that percentage of a population engages in a certain thought, belief, behavior, experiences a particular wound, or fear, or something else, situation that causes a significant departure from their initial and original behaviors and responses, when enough of that population has experienced that and communicated it into the collective, into the morphic field of that population, it becomes the prevalent norm for that population and is spread throughout, because every member of a specific population accesses that collective. It's part of their informational highway that their subconscious uses to connect with each other and to connect with what is, what am I doing here? The information about how you live, what you do, how you survive, what are the proper behaviors, et cetera, et cetera. So that becomes part of the database for that population then, and a primary mode of operation. And that, and he called it the 100th monkey simply because, who knows how many monkeys there really were. But, the supposition was that after so many monkeys in the original population had started washing their sweet potatoes, all of a sudden all of them were doing it. And then he goes to these other islands and they're all doing it. So that's our job here, is to be part of those 100 monkeys, or whatever the percentage is that we need to be, in order to effect that change and implant that permanently in the collective unconscious. Now, the movement for freedom and truth and light has gotten strong enough that we can see that it's popping out all over. It can't be stopped at this point. It is deeply embedded in the collective unconscious. But there's more. We still have to clean out our own personal garbage. Now, as far as the number that goes, I have Greg Braden did some research or reported on some research years ago, not that many years ago, in which, and you've seen this before, I'm sure, on Facebook or whatever, it keeps getting reported, but there was a group of monks, or a number of groups of monks, who got together in different cities, in different countries around the world, and they were each given the assignment to pray unceasingly for peace during throughout a certain time period. And measurements were put in place to measure in those communities, in those cities, various measures of peacefulness in those communities. You know, the robberies, thefts, arguments, rapes, arrests, police activity, all of that. So those things were measured beforehand, and then they were measured during the time frame in which these prayers were being sent up and sent out to these cities. And they measured a really appreciable decrease in the number of these negative activities going on, decrease in violence going on, of any kind happening during that time and for a little bit after. From that work, they deduced, and from the populations of those cities and the number of monks that they had there for each one, they deduced that there is a key number that starts to affect change. That's that 100th monkey number for the human population, or any population. And what they deduced was that that number is equivalent to the square root of 1% of a population. So if you have a population of 10,000, 1% of 10,000 is, let me get my numbers right here. I'm doing it in my head. I'm not looking at it on anywhere else. Hang on a second. I want to make sure I get this right. So it's an easily understandable number. I don't want it to be ridiculous. Okay. All right, let's start then with 1 million. All right, so we have 1 million individuals in a population. 1% of 1 million is 10,000. And the square root of 10,000, square root being the number multiplied by itself, which equals 10,000, is 100. So literally, in that population of 1 million, it would only take 100 people aligned and in agreement with a specific behavior or thought or thing for a certain amount of time, repeating it over time, to impact and begin the change in the entire population. Sounds kind of incredible, doesn't it? But that's the way it works. And so in the human population, if there's 7.5 billion people, in the world right now, I do believe that the square root of that, 1% of 7.5 billion people, and the square root of that comes out to something like 8,600 people. 8,600 people by themselves were joining together in a common goal can begin to affect the entire population of the planet. My God, how incredible is that? So what we see now, if we're looking at this in terms of the 100th monkey effect, we have long since passed that 8,600 threshold of people wanting the same thing. And so you can see it spreading more and more and more. But the message that I got today was, as of today, we have hit a new marker, a new threshold. And I believe what I'm getting now as I'm saying this is that we have gone way beyond the square root of 1% of the population. There is currently close to 50% of the Earth's population that is connecting to this in the collective unconscious and beginning to sense this and opening to it. This, the great awakening, the great light giving, the great opening, the great truth coming upon us, the rising up of spirit, the expansion of soul, the lighting up and illumination of our souls, and our awareness of that, and our saying, no, I don't like what's been going on before. This does not feel good anymore. What I've been doing isn't right. And I don't want to say it's not right. Okay. What I've been doing doesn't feel good to me anymore. It doesn't feel aligned with me. It doesn't feel like it's something that is helpful or good or that supports me in a good way. And I don't feel good about it anymore. And I can see a lot of things around me now that I'm not happy about, that I don't understand why I didn't see before. Now I can see these things, and they bother me a lot. So that's the place that we are right now. And that number, when I just got that from the angels, I had to double check it with them. 50% of the world's population, we've passed over that line where this is a freight train coming through. And all of the forces aligned against this haven't got a chance. They're going to be run over like a steamroller, flattened. Not going to be happy about it. That doesn't mean that they're going to give up the fight. They're just going to make they're just going to keep trying with bigger and bigger consequences, but they will not win. Is it done? Is it over? Not yet. And one of the things that I've been called to do for you today is I'm going to do a reading where the angels are going to show us a little bit of what we can expect to be coming in general, and also the things that we need to be working on within ourselves. Because I started out saying this starts at ground level. It starts with us, not the other guy, us, because we're the ones that feed the light to the collective, and we've got to feed that light from us. It doesn't come from anywhere else. We have to open up our own light, and the only way that we can do that is by fully letting go, releasing, and just clearing out all of these things, agreements that we have made. And trust me, we have all made agreements that we haven't got any clue that we made. Talked about this a long time ago in my Divine Interventions group, the power of our agreements. We have agreements, we have collective agreements, like an oak tree. When we look at it, we all see the same thing, right? That's an oak tree. We all have collective agreements, so we don't go drinking bleach. And the way, you know, and many other things like that. But there is much more in the way of agreements that come to us. A lot of them just come to us, are slapped onto our energy fields, or embedded in us from entities and people and experiences and other timelines and ancestors and past lives, collectives, matrices, you name it. It's coming to us. And if we're not saying no in this universe, it's being interpreted as a yes. Oh, you agree to that because you haven't said no. So, all right, we're good with that. So that's where the power of saying no comes in, and finally waking up and saying, wait a minute, no, I don't want this. How did this get here? I don't want this. I'm saying no. So there's a lot of that. We have to do that. And it's coming up. It's not like we have to go looking for it. We just have to be aware of it when it's being brought up to us, because our teams are absolutely bringing these things up to us. I've been working with this for the last couple of weeks. That's why the gifts in the garbage video was what it was, because there was so much of this stuff just coming up to me. You know, when the garbage comes up, the gift a lot of times is in that garbage, right? It's that garbage itself that we are seeing it and being able to clear it out. We'll get rid of it, throw it out. No more garbage cluttering up the place. So that's what we're being called to do. But I'm going to do a reading now, and I'm using, hang on a second, I'm going to do a split screen here so you can see the cards that I have. And the card deck that I'm using is from James Brown Pra, Soul's Journey. And these were the cards that my team told me to use. So the first messages that are going to come up here, and who's helping me with this besides my higher self? More than one. Okay. We're just going to go with my higher self because he's communicating with the angels. So the first message that's coming up now has to do with what we can expect, how we can expect this to be playing out in the coming weeks and months. And remind you, this is a process. When I say it's accelerating, you know, we hit the 50% mark, it's going to be boom, 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 but it's still overall, it's going to be like years before this is cleared out and fully resolved, and the changes that need to happen really start taking place, right? Because if we get rid of the garbage now that's currently in place, we have to also then clean it up. We have to put different things in place so the same garbage doesn't come back. Understand what I'm saying? The processes, the thought processes, the behaviors, the philosophies, they've just got to change from the very basic fundamental levels so we can start building up again to the kind of culture and society where love vibrates through every part of it and holds it together. That's where we're going for. At least that's what I'm going for, folks. So you got something different in mind, then that's on you. All right. So what is the first message, angels, higher self angels, that you have for everybody here today? Okay. So the first card that comes up is health. Now, I don't know if you can, that will focus on here or not. There it is. I will honor the physical vessel that enshrines my soul. And what does that mean? We start listening to our bodies and giving them the care they need. I don't want to get into any arguments about whether you should be vegan or a meat eater or whether you should exercise 10 times a day. What you should and shouldn't eat, how you should and shouldn't dress or do, or things that you shouldn't use, deodorants, hairsprays, shampoos. I want to hear all that because it's irrelevant. And I'm probably going to get people yelling at me that I said that, but it is. Because the only thing that's relevant is what your body tells you it needs at any given time. And that's going to be different than what anybody else's body is telling them. I can't tell you what's right for you to eat because I'm not your body. Start listening to the body. And how do you know what's right for you at any one time? Well, there are a number of tools, right? Let's see. Here's one of them right here. Use your pendulum. Create a chart. I have a blank one here. It says an idea. I might. Nope. Okay. All right. Make a chart with a pencil or a pen. Make yourself some with a computer, whatever. Download some. They exist all over the place. Blank ones. Make a chart. And on that chart, you can put down, if you're looking for what your body wants to eat, all right, you can put vegetables, meats, grains, fruits, dairy, eggs, whatever kind of beverages, all right, and start using it. Some of you may be surprised at what your body is telling you. If you have a better way of listening to your body, that countermands your ego mind, because our egos like to get involved in this very much because of the society that we live in. And so we need to get outside of ego. You can muscle test, where you just, you use your fingers here and you muscle test. Okay, higher self, what do I need to eat right now? Or do I need meat right now? See, right there. Yes, I need meat. Do I need milk right now? No. Right? See? No. And that is one of the best ways to start honoring what your body wants to have in it. Now, if you look at me, right, you're going to see my little roll here, my muffin top at the moment. And I admit, I am not in the best shape of my life. And I have some work to do around that. But there's also some other reasons. Now, just because you're not skinny and toned and buff doesn't mean that you're not treating your body well. Start putting that into your processes. Some of our body programs are supporting that kind of structure. And we can be fine. But we need to be paying attention to what our bodies want and why. My grandmother was, a German grandma, and she was chunky. And when she just before, as she was when she got older, the last time I saw her, the August before she died that Christmas, that December, she only weighed 95 pounds or less. And it was shocking to see her like that. The minute I saw her, I knew that I wasn't going to see her again, because that wasn't what her body was happy with. And pay attention to that. Don't force on your body based on what somebody else says, based on what culture or society says. The best of motives from other people still is not your body or inside your soul. So make sure you're listening to you. Okay? Same thing goes with exercise. Do yourself a chart, do the pendulum, do muscle testing, or if you're really connected with your higher self and your knowing, sit down, meditate, and ask those questions. What do I really need? And it's not, and my body may be calling for meat now. Tomorrow it may not. Later on it may not. So I need to be aligned with what my body needs. And sometimes, you ask your body, what does it need now? It's not necessarily food. Maybe your body needs rest. Maybe your body needs to be listened to. Maybe your body needs to release fear, right? Our body is holding on to fear. That's a really nasty thing for our bodies. It really wreaks havoc with those lower level emotions. And a lot of us are holding on to a lot more fear than we realize we are. So let's work on that. All right, next one. Okay, good message. Peace. I'm a being of love, and I release all negative energy. These are the things we need to be working on. Choosing peace. You can say that. I choose peace. This I so do. And so it is. Say that 3 times. A couple times a day. And see how it just impacts your energies. And how it deflates a lot of the things that are going on inside that you may not have realized it were. Choose peace. Because if peace exists here, then it radiates out throughout our environments and up into the collective. Remember the 100th monkey. Peace. The end, the cessation of violence. Again, the removal of fear. So choose peace actively and consciously throughout the day. Keep working at it. Okay, what's next? Okay, this is a biggie. Regret. Clearing out regret. I know that I cannot change the past. Well, too many of us are holding on to that past. And if any of you have seen the message I put up on Facebook about letting go, so many of us just will not release and let go of the stuff that's hurting us. We are absolutely addicted to the pain and we don't want to let go because we don't know how to act without it. But it's time to learn. We have to do that. And we have to stop feeling guilty or regretful about things that we did in the past to others, or things that we knew weren't good, or things that we think we should have done and didn't do. Everything that we didn't do to this point in our lives served our highest good in one way or another. The time for looking back on everything and deciding maybe I could have done this better, maybe I couldn't, or was I supposed to, that's after you die. When you get up into heaven and you start looking back over stuff and you say, oh wow, the fact that I didn't do what I thought I should have done actually had positive impacts for other people. You don't know that until you get and you can see from that other perspective. So stop with the regrets and let go of your fears, please. I have had clients who don't want to let go of their illness, regardless of how badly they say they do, and how badly their souls want to let go. There's a part of them that is so buried in the codependencies of that illness or that pain or that issue. And codependence is doing something that's bad for you because you feel there's something there that you think benefits you. You know, it's like continuing to be with someone who beats you. There's that codependent. The minute they turn around and they say, oh, I'm sorry, I'll never do it again, I love you, that's the hook again that keeps you in. Well, there are similar things with anything. People with long-term illnesses, chronic illnesses, have this situation because there are hidden benefits that they've been enjoying as a result of having the illness. You would say, well, what the heck are you talking about? Well, I don't know. Maybe you get away with not doing things you don't want to do because of the illness. And if you get away with not having X number of responsibilities that cannot be done by someone without, with your condition. All of those things kind of pile up in a lot of people that don't want to, they don't consciously know this or realize it, but their egos do, and they don't want to let go of the illness. They can spend years in therapy and in treatments and going from doctor to doctor, holistic person, healing person, and never really clear out what their intention was to clear out in the first place because they don't want to let go. Keep that in mind. We've got to let go of all of this stuff, not just the illnesses. I'm talking about all of our stuff, all of the garbage that's hanging around. Okay. This is the last one for us in general as to what you need to be doing to prepare and to keep ahead of things and balanced. Okay. And we should all be pretty well versed in this one, right? Perseverance. Just keep tromping along, one foot in front of the other. Keep on going no matter what. And people will say, people that have been through horrible things in their lives, other people will look at them and say, oh my God, how do you keep going? How do you do it? Well, in the reality, in the real world, when it gets down to it, it's either you keep going or you die. Period, end of story. Really. And even if you decide instead of moving you just decide to sit in one place, you're still persevering in a way. May not be what your soul wants you to do, but you're still there. Don't give up. Keep moving forward in your light. Stay centered in your light. That's where you need to stay centered. There's going to be a lot of distractions in the outer world trying to take you from that, trying to take away your peace, right? Trying to take away your peace. Don't let it. Stay centered. Keep going. Stay connected to your light and your soul. And know that that's where all you need exists. The rest of it is just show. It is total illusion. You know, and you can see, you can enjoy, when you see the truth peeking through, you can enjoy that and say, yes, I'm glad to see that. When there's upheaval going on and there's fighting and people pushing and pulling against each other with their own beliefs, all of that is ego, and you don't need to be part of it. If you find yourself getting sucked in, ask your higher self to remind you and your guardian team to remind you that you're getting sucked in to pull you back out so you can get back into peace again. Okay. And by the way, if any of you would like me to do a specific reading for what you need to be looking for and what should be coming, what may be coming up in your life as part of this deconstruction that's going on, don't hesitate to contact me, and we can set something up. I will put, there's going to be an email address in the description under the video. Okay, now what is it in general in the world that is coming up that we may be seeing here in the near future between now and say the end of the year? What are the things coming up that we need to be aware may be happening? Okay, so let's put these aside. All right, and this is the card Worry, learning that worry doesn't change an outcome. And as soon as I looked at the card, what came to me wasn't worry, but words. Words are a form of verbal worry, or worry is a form of doubt. And all of the words, and of course the worry, the fear, and the doubt doesn't really change anything. It does not change the outcome. As a matter of fact, when we worry about something and we give words to it and we give energy to it, we're basically, in many cases, creating the outcome that we were concerned about. However, when an outcome is meant to be, all the worrying in the world is not going to change that. And the message here is the worry and the words, just let them go. Like water under the bridge, let it just pass by you. All right, this is not your words and your worry. This is in the outer world, right? You're going to see a lot of that, a lot of fear about what's coming. What do we got going on? What's happening? Why is this happening? Wait a minute, I didn't expect that, and worry about, you know, what the outcome is going to be. A lot of that's going to be coming toward us and around us. Don't pay any attention to it. All right, the outcome that we're looking for, light wins, love wins, will not be affected by these things. Okay, don't, whatever people are worrying about, whatever the news media are telling you you're supposed to be worried or concerned about, no, forget that. Has no bearing on this whatsoever. It's just another aspect of the great play that's going on. Okay, next. Okay, relationships. I'm attracted to those people who serve my higher good. So what does this mean when it comes to the world around us? We are all going to become much more attuned to what is in service to our highest good, number one. And with that attunement, we start gravitating toward other people who resonate with that attunement and our soul mission and what we're here to do. And that gravitating towards also means a going away. So it's more of the dropping away. Things that you thought you were aligned with, you're going to find that you no longer are so aligned with, that you're going to be pulling away from those things. You're going to be looking with other eyes, with new eyes at these things and saying, it just doesn't seem cool to me anymore. There's something there that's not right. I don't know why I didn't see it before. Something there that just doesn't seem kosher and doesn't align with me, right? This is not me, and I just can't support that anymore. So that's what's going to be happening. We're not talking necessarily about, we're talking about relationships at all levels, both at your personal, individual people relationships, but mostly in the greater global concept. We're going to be seeing relationships between ideologies, philosophies, countries, and that just came to me. I was just given that. Countries are going to be changing, and in these countries, they are going to be aligning with what serves their highest good. Not what somebody who's running the country decides is their highest good, but what the people who are that country, right? The president, the premier, the prime minister, the king, the queen, these people are not are not our countries. They are not the country. It is the people who are the country. And these countries are going to continue the process that we've already begun seeing of aligning with their highest good as nations. Big yes on that. So watch for that. More of that. And you're going to, and some of this is going to fly in the face of what you now believe is the way it's supposed to be. Just trust the process. Again, worry or words or philosophies, cultural pressure is not going to change this whatsoever. Okay, this is the last one for what we should be looking for and can expect to see as this process accelerates out in the world. All right, friendship. I understand that a friend is in my life for a reason. All right, so the friendship card here has to do with local groups and relationships. It can be with your personal friends. But it can also be friendships of a sort between groups. Friendship being, oh, what is the word? Instead of friendship, more of an aligning of different groups, a coming together for common cause. Yes, that's it. A coming together for common cause. We're going to be seeing more and more and more of that spreading throughout the world, coming together for common cause, like the demonstrations in Hong Kong. Is it absolutely wonderful example. They even have an anthem now. Did you hear that? That's awesome. But this is what this friendship card is about. More and more groups coming together in common cause, forming that friendship and that mutual support to move forward toward the goal, and aligned with love and light and higher purpose. That's what's going to be coming. So look for that more and more and more, for you to be seeing around you. Remember, the worry thing, think of that as the media telling you what you should be concerned about and afraid of, and why everything that's coming along that looks good is something that you should be worried about. Oh no, we can't do that. There's something absolutely horrible about that. That's not the right thing for you to be thinking, blah, blah, blah. No, this is the media. This is the anti-media, right? This is the outcomes that you're going to see coming to play, that kind of put the lie to all of this. And then this is the coming together in common cause to move forward. It's going to be bringing you away from this in a big way. You're not even going to be listening to any of this anymore. You're just going to be focused on soul-centered stuff, higher good, common cause for the good and the light. Now, like I said, much of this may not be what you are now thinking it's going to be. When I say coming together in common cause for the light, you may have a totally different picture of in your mind of who and what you may be coming together with than is actually going to take place once we get past those places where you are being shown things are not what you thought they were. So be prepared for that. Be prepared for your beliefs to be challenged, because they will, big time. All right, so angels, do you have another message in here for us before we end this? And this is in regards to what? The collective unconscious. Okay. Okay, this is a big one. Blame. Boy, do we see a lot of that going around. And a lot of that, yes, there's a lot of that blaming energy buried in the collective unconscious, and we need to neutralize that. We need to stop looking for blame. We have to stop with the who shot John, start pointing fingers. Everything that's happening is on us in one way or the other. We have to go within and release our agreements to whatever is going on, that is causing this issue in this situation that we're unhappy about, and that we wouldn't have wanted to see, or for anyone, or for our society, for any part of our society. Things going on that are unpleasant, the shootings, the child sex trafficking, the pedophilia, the graft, the corruption, the fraud, all of it that we're seeing around us. We have to stop pointing fingers at everybody. Oh, it's your fault. If you didn't do that, then this wouldn't have happened. Or, oh no, it's your fault because you did this and you made that happen and you brought this into play. Blah, 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 blah. No, that has to stop. Now, this doesn't mean that we're not going to see some people in the near future being indicted for serious crimes that they are going to be held responsible for. That's not blame, that's justice. Different thing. Blame is just trying to find a scapegoat so you can feel better. Blame is a function of trying to feel more powerful or better or right than somebody or something else. That's a total ego process. So we need to let go of that, but we also need to diffuse it. So that means that when we see blame being bandied about, we either walk away from it and separate ourselves from it, or we diffuse it. We offer an alternate, more neutral point of view if we are of a mind to do so. Some of us are not built to do that and wade into stuff like that. But at the very least, walk away and don't lend your energy to this. And I would, if I were you, spend some time in prayer, asking the angels, asking Heavenly Father, Source, Divine Spirit, whoever it is that you pray to as the ruling energy that we have here, to neutralize and release the energies of blame from the collective unconscious. I've done some big work with the wounded divine feminine today. And by the way, if and I asked for healing of that in the collective unconscious, and that's for everybody, not just women, men and women. It was wow. It was stirred up big time at the Kavanaugh hearing. And it's still hanging around. It's starting to build again, and we need a healing of that. We need to release those wounds in all of us, men and women. So if you wish to be part of that healing and to receive that for yourself, just all you have to do is ask to receive the healing of the collective unconscious, or the healing of the divine feminine. That's all you have to do. Just sit down and ask, please God, higher self, I ask to receive the healing of the divine feminine, and let it wash over you and through you. So that's just a little aside there, because I have done big work with that today. It was a huge thing coming up. So that's the message for today, or the message is. There was a lot more here than I thought there was going to be, as always. So once again, I love you all. I have my peppermint diffusing all over the office, and my salt lamp, and my candle. And I didn't come on screen, so, with looking at me today, because basically it's been kind of one of those crazy days. And I'm in a little bit of a state of upheaval myself. So we're just doing it this way. And I think it worked out just fine. I hope you enjoyed this message, that you got value from it. And there will be many more of these to come as they come to me to give you. So enjoy your day. Blessings to you. Enjoy your weekend. Namaste. And I love you all. Thank you.